What up, Leaguers? Welcome to the Spectacular Spoiler League. I'm the Pandan Superman, the mayor of Hype City, HazyRome, and as always, I'm joined by the Gotham Knight, the Prime Minister of Post-Production, DeepBoyce. And today we're in the Hall of Spoilers to talk a little bit about Earth X Prometheus. Specifically, who is Prometheus of Earth X? DeepBoyce, tell them what it is.
Yeah, we're getting an Earth X crossover. And we've pretty much been able to pin down who is who, but the one person we still haven't figured out is who is his evil doppelganger of Prometheus. Prometheus X, whatever they're going to call him. So we kind of came together with a top 10 list of who we think or who we would like to see be revealed as his character coming, in the upcoming 4-episode crossover. So I guess we should definitely start with number 10 here, Hazy.
Yes, sir. Number 10, Nyssa Al Ghul. So, I guess that the idea behind Nyssa Al Ghul being Prometheus or inhabiting this costume and taking on that mantle is that, maybe we'll see Nyssa Al Ghul working with the enemy, and maybe it has something to do with the quote-unquote death of her beloved, there's nothing confirmed we know about Sarah Lance dying on Earth X, but we do know that, Nyssa and Sarah have a relationship. So it might be pretty cool to see maybe Nyssa working with the bad guys, on behalf of... or the death of her beloved. Maybe the Nazis have access to the Lazarus pit, and maybe she wants to use it for her own deeds. Maybe they could even get this Prometheus to come on over to the good side. I feel like there might be some traitorisms that happen with the Earth X crew, but Nyssa Al Ghul, we know that she's pretty handy with the bow. From all of her appearances in the Arrowverse thus far, might be cool to see her in a Prometheus costume. It would definitely shock us if she was in it.
Yeah, absolutely, and it would be interesting to see Sarah's reaction, seeing this evil version of Nyssa, or maybe to kind of go on with the theme of her being a traitor or having different intentions. Maybe she's being coerced because her priority is the League of Assassins, the League of Shadows, and the Nazis that took over to control the Lazarus pit, and as ransom, that's just like, hey, you want to keep this? You got to work for us.
Could also be a situation where the League of Assassins is allied with the Nazis.
Yeah, maybe Ra's.
You know what I mean?
Ra's al Ghul is, and she's instead of being a disappointment or rebelling against her dad's wishes, she goes alongside with them.
Absolutely. I think that's an interesting prospect. But anyway, up to number 9, baby.
Yeah, number 9 is Thea Queen. Evil version of Thea Queen in Earth X. Honestly, they could go almost any angle that they want to with this character. Yeah. Just from the simple fact that Oliver, there seems to be an evil version of Oliver or Dark Archer or Dark Arrow in this universe. Maybe Thea, just how she falls in line to be a good guy in Earth 1. She falls in line with her evil brother to also be evil. Or maybe she falls in line with her father, Malcolm Merlyn, and decides to go through that route of being evil as well.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Or maybe she just, never grew up, never got out of her rebellious phase as she did in Earth 1 to grow, and instead just decided to, fall in line with what her father was up to. Maybe Robert Queen, is in line with the Nazis, much in the same way he was in line with evildoers and criminals and corrupt politicians in Earth 1 before his untimely demise.
Either way you slice it for Thea, whether you're looking at her, adopted father Robert Queen or her biological father Malcolm Merlyn, she's got some fathers that are up to no good. Yeah. So maybe the same goes for Thea Queen on Earth X. Maybe she's running around, side by side with the Dark Arrow, her brother, just doing some dastardly deeds as a brother-sister duo. That would be pretty interesting. And also be pretty shocking to Oliver Queen if, the mask for this Prometheus came off and it was his sister underneath. Yeah, man. But anyway, we mentioned our number 8 already. Mm-hmm. But number 8, everybody, Malcolm Merlyn.
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward there. Malcolm Merlyn has, he's been the quote-unquote Dark Archer in the Arrowverse. John Barrowman always finds a way to show his face in the Arrowverse. And why not him being under the mask? Once again, Malcolm Merlyn has experience with, bows and arrows and things like that. What if on Earth X, he's trying to, work with the Nazis to gain some leverage. That's another thing about Malcolm Merlyn. The guy is always playing sides to get what he wants.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we learn later on, he does anything and everything for his daughter. But this, I guess, would also be kind of simple, and it's part of the reason why we put it so high up on the list at number 8, because all you have to do is just give him his same intentions, where he just wanted to rid crime. He wanted to cause a catastrophe in Starling City, which it was called at the time, in order to destroy the slums and the poorer neighborhoods, because he felt that they need to be gone because his wife was killed because of crime, and he went ahead and got trained and became evil. So maybe he goes through the same process, but instead of being vilified, he is I guess hoisted onto the government or the reigning evildoers' shoulders and seen as a good example of what they really want. Someone who's going to take evil into their own hands and stomp on the less fortunate.
That would be a pretty interesting take if something akin to the undertaking happened on Earth X, and instead of Malcolm Merlyn being vilified, he was praised as a hero for doing it. Alternatively, or thinking along that same line of thought, the Nazis and what they represented in the past, they always kind of preached about order and civility. Although, obviously their actions spoke otherwise. But with Malcolm Merlyn, maybe, he's down with that ideology too, with, the idea of the undertaking, where it's order and civility, no matter how brutal the actions you take to accomplish that are. Maybe he's running around as Prometheus, trying to, enact that will.
Yeah. Agreed.
But on to number 7, everybody. I'm going to kick this over to DeepBoyce because he's the one who brought it up, and I love it, man. I got no reason why I would want to see this other than the fact that it's a cool shout out to the past. But DeepBoyce, hit it with number 7, man.
Number 7 is Oliver's original teacher, his original sensei. Or Sifu, I guess you would call him because he's Chinese.
Yeah.
Yao Fei.
Yao Fei.
So, I mean, honestly, it would just be extremely dope to see that character make another appearance. He was a really cool character in season 1 of Arrow. And in terms of the storyline, it's possible the teacher surpasses the master in this instance. Yao Fei is able to survive. He further trains Oliver. Oliver, thrives under his tutelage. And then evil Oliver, I guess, brings his sensei back to the States, or to whatever they're going to call this Nazi ruled United States. And he becomes better. He surpasses him, but he's still there, because obviously, in terms of the battle between Arrow and Prometheus, Arrow won the day. So Arrow, the student in this case, surpasses the master, but the master's still there in order to provide his services, I guess, to whatever cause, whether it's Oliver or Oliver's master's cause. I don't know, whatever's going on in this Earth X scenario.
Yeah, I mean, it could also be that their relationship evolved into one of a mutual respect. Yeah. Maybe they have a brotherly bond, and maybe they're working together. As master and former student or current student, whatever you want to paint it as, doing dastardly deeds on Earth X. But on to number 6, man, because I gotta bring up number 6 because number 6 is directly related to number 7. We've got Shadow at number 6. Now, obviously, Shadow on Earth 1, she had, a relationship with Oliver Queen, deep ties there. I mean, what a better motif for Prometheus if, Shadow is alive in the Prometheus costume and she's still in a relationship with Oliver Queen, and they're, doing terrible things as a bow-wielding duo together. Shadow, I think, unmasking and possibly even shocking Earth 1 Oliver when he sees her face, because I think whenever he sees Shadow, he's just kind of like, so I think that would be, an interesting way to go, a cool way to go, if Shadow was underneath the mask and she was working with, Oliver and his Nazisms over on Earth X.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And yet another character that would be dope to kind of see again real quick for a cameo, a character that is, I could say, beloved among the Arrowverse fans or the Arrow fans, and it would be cool to see her because, for all intents and purposes, this Prometheus of what we've seen, especially in that poster, looks like a man, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it is a man. Maybe it's just the stylizing that we've seen in the drawing, but it could very well be a woman under the guise of this other archer. And maybe she didn't die, and maybe they have a thriving relationship. Maybe that's Oliver's boo, so to speak, in this Earth X.
Oliver's boo. All right. I didn't know Nazis used the word boo, but hey, you know, anything can happen, I guess. On to number 5. DeepBoyce, who we got?
Yeah, number 5, we have Adrian Chase, who was Prometheus in the last season of Arrow, who was a rather good villain and was able to help, Arrow kind of come back into prominence after a few bad seasons. But it's possible that because Adrian Chase was so well received and they did such a good job that they have him yet again, but in Earth X. And I guess similarly to Malcolm Merlyn, where he embarks on this mission of revenge because his father was killed. Instead of being killed by Oliver, maybe he was killed by, I don't know, the opposition to, this Nazi force that's ruling in Earth X. And that drives him to seek someone to train him. And instead of seeking Talia al Ghul like he did in Earth 1, he seeks Oliver to train him and trains him to become an evil, I guess, Prometheus yet again, but for different reasons this time.
To respond to that, you actually kind of made me think of what if I kind of had an alternate scenario to the one that you had in my head. What if Prometheus, right? What if instead of Oliver killing Prometheus's father and thus creating Prometheus like it happened in Earth 1, what if Prometheus killed Oliver's father and Oliver, became Prometheus's underling or protege? Based on, Prometheus convincing Oliver that he loves killing, just like he did in Earth 1, Maybe Prometheus convinces Oliver Queen that, he's a killer deep down inside, and they decide to work together as a pair, a duo, if you will.
Interesting.
Yeah, Prometheus was a manipulator, and what if, he succeeded in his machinations to turn Oliver to the dark side, if you will. I don't know. Interesting prospect. Interesting prospect. Like, honestly, it would be dope if Adrian Chase was Prometheus. Personally, it'd be cooler to see someone else under there because I think, some people might be expecting to see Adrian Chase. But I think it's a cool concept to maybe, turn the narrative on its head. Presenting something like Earth X it's a good opportunity to see what could have happened in a different, reality. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely.
But anyway, on to number 4. We talking about papas, everybody. We talking about fathers, everybody. How can we talk about fathers and not bring up Robert Queen, Oliver Queen's dad? So on Earth 2, we know that Oliver Queen actually died on the island, and Robert Queen survived and became the Arrow. Now you might be thinking, like, when did this happen? There was like a really quick Easter egg in the first time that the 2-part episode where Flash and Cisco head over to Earth 2 to take on Zoom, and there's a little newsreel, and it says that Robert Queen has revealed himself as being the Arrow. So we know that Robert Queen essentially became the Arrow in that universe. What if Robert Queen is the Arrow in this universe, or Prometheus, I should say, in this universe, and he's doing his thing as father and son with Oliver Queen?
Yeah,
maybe DeepBoyce alluded to this earlier. Maybe Robert Queen and his, evil doings and his schemings, maybe he brought Oliver into the family business.
It's true. Instead of having Oliver, I guess, giving him a list of evil people to eliminate, like he did in season 1, he's having him come into this cabal, so to speak,
to save this city.
To save the city.
In the way that he sees fit.
Yes, from this capitalistic scum and some of these, I guess, resistance and opposition that's kind of coming in from the streets.
For sure. DeepBoyce, number 3.
Number 3 is a character that is confirmed to make an appearance at some point in time in upcoming Arrow season, or in this present Arrow season, I'm sorry. But it would also be dope to see as Prometheus.
Be honest. We just want this character to come back to the show.
We do.
Man, at some point. We want it. We want it to happen. We don't care how. Just make it happen.
In any which way, any permutation, Roy Harper, number 3 on the list. If he comes back as Prometheus, again, he was the first student of Oliver in Earth One. Oliver trained Roy Harper and created the Red Arrow or Arsenal in whatever you may want to call him in Earth One. But having Roy Harper as Prometheus instead, where he picks him out of the gutter as he did, and instead of training him to fight for good, he trains him to fight for evil as this Prometheus, or this second archer that's an evil protege of the evil Oliver in Earth X. And again, I think part of what can make this crossover interesting, and Hazy kind of alluded to this in some of our previous picks, but seeing these characters again, especially some of these characters that they haven't seen in a long time or are probably already dead. I mean, imagine him, Oliver seeing his father, or Oliver seeing Adrian Chase again, or Oliver seeing Yao Fei, Shadow, etc., or maybe he sees Roy Harper, but an evil version of him. That'll maybe that'll be a bit of a mind block, I guess, for lack of a better word. That will
it would also shock the other members of Team Arrow who remember Roy, like Diggle or Felicity.
Yeah, absolutely, and who knows what kind of dastardly things these doppelgangers are gonna do. Which again will serve to really confuse the heroes. Because they sound and they look like their counterparts, the ones that they grew up with and that they've spent time with, but they're not. They're just evil, super evil versions of them, and that'll definitely trip them out.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen thematically, and this is going to get into our number 2, but we've seen thematically throughout the Arrowverse, since the moment that multiverses were introduced, characters freaking out over characters that look like them or look like people they love, and seeing them do things that they wouldn't normally associate with themselves or these said, people they love. Yes. So number 2, everybody, Quentin Lance. Now this is I know this is a little bit of a swerve, but hear me out on this Quentin Lance thing, right? This kind of plays into the storyline that's going on with Quentin Lance in Arrow season 6. So Quentin Lance is sort of struggling with the notion that Black Siren looks just like his baby girl Laurel and the things that she's done. I mean, we find out that on Leon Yu, he actually shot Black Siren, and he's been beating himself up for months about thinking that he killed the woman who looks just like his daughter. So what if Quentin Lance is exposed to an evil version of himself on Earth X and sees what he could become on another Earth, but instead of that making him think, oh my God, can I be capable of this? Maybe he takes that lesson, that seeing Quentin Lance over there as so this Nazi essentially, and says to himself, okay, that's not me. I would never do that. And what if he takes that idea and associates it with Black Siren and what she does? And he's like, okay, I see this Quentin Lance and I know this isn't me. He looks like me, but I would never do these things. Maybe the same goes for this Black Siren girl that looks like my daughter, but she's clearly not my daughter. She has not done the same things as my daughter would have done. So maybe I can separate that memory of Laurel, my daughter who's now gone, from this woman who looks just like her, and maybe he can actually overcome that and contribute to taking down Black Siren just by seeing himself underneath the mask of Prometheus.
Yeah.
What say you, DeepBoyce?
I mean, honestly, I don't think I could say it any better than that. Because Quentin Lance is one of the more interesting characters in Arrow, who's had a very interesting story arc. And this could yet again be another look at what could be. I mean, he dealt with alcoholism and he was able to overcome it. But now he has this new challenge where, he thought he got over his daughter's death. But now that painful memory continues.
It's happened like 50 times already.
It continues to not only just appear, but just straight up punch him literally punch him in the face.
Sure.
And you bring up an amazing point that maybe this is his chance to see, I don't want to become this, or I need to do something. I need to learn to grow and to get past this, because
absolutely,
this is something that's way beyond my understanding. But I know what I have to do. I know I have to persevere and fight the good fight.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to add another layer to, Quentin Lance maybe learning a life lesson, maybe this version of Prometheus, this Quentin Lance Prometheus, maybe he lost his daughters and he took it upon himself to become Prometheus and fight alongside, you know, the status quo because of the idea, the notion of order and bringing, you know, justice to all those scumbags, or, you know, whatever he wants to call those people who killed his daughter, or who he feels are responsible for his daughters.
Or, what about this? This is something I just thought up right now. Quentin Lance is a cop, right? And he dedicated his life to fighting crime. But let's say instead of becoming a cop, he first becomes this Prometheus character. And because of it, he loses his daughters.
Interesting.
And then that's another kind of reminder that, yeah, he's lost his daughters, but they're still in his heart. They're still in his memory. And he can't, you know, he needs to be careful not to completely, you know, I guess, bastardize whatever is left of their memory and to continue to fight the good fight.
In that. Yeah, that would be pretty interesting, man. I mean, I feel like Quentin Lance isn't necessarily someone you would expect, but I mean, just based on the things that I've said, based on the things that you've said, I think there are, you know, multiple layers that you could potentially, you know, add to the Prometheus character, and, you know, also it would be a pretty cool swerve if you did something like that. But as dope as the ideas we had for Quentin Lance were, he was not our number one, because our number one has a special place in our heart, because we haven't seen our number one in a very long time. DeepBoyce, who is
our number one, is Tommy Merlyn, ladies and gentlemen. Probably
we don't want no more cameos, people.
More cameos. This is probably our number one of, if not the number one, definitely one of the top requested characters to make a return in the Arrowverse, or at least in Arrow. Tommy Merlyn. I mean, we were speculating, is Tommy Merlyn Prometheus? We were speculating, is Tommy Merlyn Vigilante? I don't know how many people. We were even Zoom. I think we threw around the idea. Is it Tommy Merlyn? We're still hoping somewhere in that rubble, Tommy Merlyn's just, his hand's gonna reach out from the rubble and he's gonna come back to us and make an appearance in Arrowverse yet again. But like we said, number one is Tommy Merlyn. You know, it could be, again, in terms of possible storyline avenues, maybe instead of his mother dying, maybe it's his father dies, or maybe both his parents die, and he seeks help. Again, Malcolm Merlyn goes to the League of Assassins, among other places, to learn to become, you know, the Dark Archer, the magician. But instead of maybe going there, maybe Tommy Merlyn seeks the help of Oliver, who's already, you know, an archer and is evil. Maybe and as best friends, they work together to fight against good, I guess, you know, under the guise of the Nazis.
Yeah, man, it's very possible that, you know, this Earth X, maybe it's very possible that Malcolm Merlyn has died and Tommy Merlyn decided to take up arms against, you know, whatever he believed took down his father. And that leads to some sort of brotherly bond between him and Oliver Queen, as, you know, Prometheus and, you know, and the Dark Arrow, or whatever he's calling himself on Earth X. They're also, I mean, once again, we keep alluding to, you know, Oliver Queen and the shock factor, because Prometheus is a character inherently tied to Oliver Queen, based on season 5. So, you know, we feel that the character should be someone who would have an effect on at least Oliver Queen or someone close to him. And you know, what better reveal than Prometheus taking off the mask? You know, Oliver Queen, Green Arrow from Earth 1, thinks, you know, he's fighting this guy who looks like Prometheus, who he has a reason to hate. Like, he has a reason to hate the Prometheus mask. Then he takes off the mask. Prometheus takes off the mask, and it's a guy who looks just like Tommy. That would blow his freaking mind. And also, you also have the idea that, you know, we kind of haven't gotten to see, you know, we always hear the stories about Tommy and Oliver Queen in their heyday. You know, and them, you know, partying and doing crazy stuff. I mean, it'd kind of be cool to see, you know, Oliver Queen and Tommy Merlyn, although, you know, Earth X, it would be cool to see them working together and kind of having that brotherly relationship that's always been alluded to in the Arrowverse. I mean, we kind of saw it in season 1, but Oliver was a different person. He was clearly hiding something from Tommy Merlyn until he revealed his identity, and then it just mucked up the relationship, and then Laurel, everything got crazy. But it would be nice to see just two dudes who like being bad working together. I mean, I know they're Nazis and nothing's cool about Nazis, but it would be interesting to see that dynamic play out on the screen.
Yeah, totally agree.
But anyway, guys, what do you think of our top 10 list of people who could be underneath the Prometheus mask on Earth X. Let us know if you agree with any of our choices. Let us know if there's someone we didn't consider that you think would be worthy of donning the Prometheus costume. And by all means, support the Spectacular Spoiler League by hitting that subscribe button and also turning on notifications so you could be up to date with the latest and greatest coming from the Spectacular Spoiler League. Drop a like so we can recruit some members to the Spectacular Spoiler League to go over to Earth X and kick some Nazi ass. We'll see you guys on the next one.